Hello everyone. I just got this thank you note with my smartphone case and I wanted to do something, to create something with it and not just recycle it. I have this very beautiful paper pad which I got from Teddy. That's a dollar store from Germany and Austria. And I have this stamp set which is also very affordable. I think they costed about one and a half euros. I have this coffee dyed and tea dyed paper. I used just some stencils to make the designs on the pages and left them while drying out. And then of course something to cut, either the theme holes or a normal scissor will do. Let's just start. The first step, which I really enjoy, is choosing this design paper for the cover and for the inside. That's a step where I take my time. I really look how it looks. The purpose is not quantity, but it's quality and being mindful. It's not about having perfect results, but it's about being there in the moment and choosing the papers. For the inside, I'm just thinking I want a very simple one, not very adorned, and I think this is it. This is it for the inside. And I'm using a glue stick from Uhu. I just love this. Again, how much? I'm applying it on the cover. And I'm very careful about applying it on the edges to make sure that the paper sticks very well. I suspect that I'm being too generous with my glue, but that's not a problem. We can just solve it later. We can just wipe the excess off. And when sticking the paper, I'm very, very careful to align the edges of the two pieces together. A bone folder is very good for this step because it makes sure that the glue is evenly spread and the pieces are very well glued. Be very careful when gluing things to keep your work surface clean, because otherwise you can work so hard for some things and then end up ruining them. Imagine if I did not wipe the surface and I'm putting now the paper on it. If there was glue there, the glue would just stick on it and ruin the beautiful paper. And just cutting it, I'm left-handed and I'm using a normal scissors, so I had to look basically on the outside of the scissors in order to be precise about my cutting. I grew up without left-handed scissors, so I'm just very used to using these classical scissors, and it doesn't bother me. I can be very precise with them as well. Now it's time for the other side. Again, being mindful, taking time, choosing the right corner I want to use, you can decide and then change your mind. It's your project, it's your decision. Then gluing it, trying to be a bit less generous with my glue this time, but I'm still applying to make sure it sticks very well, and checking again if I'm on the right side, if I have the top side at the top, and aligning the two pieces together in order to achieve beautiful results. The bone folder is the best tool, I think, for using stick glue and making sure everything is very well stuck together. Now I'm using the Tim Holtz guillotine, mini guillotine, to cut the edges. I think it's a bit faster with the scissors in this case, because there are only two small sides to cut. But I just wanted to show you, and it's not a problem if a corner just sticks out. We can cut it again. And for example, here there's a little bit of white visible, and I'm just cutting again. The good thing about this tool is that it really cuts the smallest pieces perfectly. So now the cover is ready. It still feels a little bit wet from the glue, so I want to put it and leave it a little bit under a heavy book. And afterwards I need to cut the papers, and I need to see how much it measures. I will just cut the paper for the inside exactly the size of the cover. It can be, of course, any size, and I would also recommend cutting the papers slightly smaller than your cover, because when they are folded they will come out a little bit, and this you can avoid this by cutting them slightly smaller from the start. And looking at all my papers, they are a joy to watch, to see, to go through them. But in the end I decided to go for a plain one, plain coffee dyed one, because then I can decorate the pages as I want them. And that's why I'm just looking exactly which areas I want to cut for my pages, and I think that this bottom edge is nicer, and making sure to measure twice and just cut once is always a good idea, so that you don't have more work at the end. And I'm cutting to slightly a smaller size than the cover. And I'm thinking at this point that actually 4 pages would be enough. So I just need to cut 2 more and I'm finished. So with these 4 pages, I'm just simply folding them. There is no need to use a scoreboard. It doesn't have to be perfect. It adds some charm to the whole piece if it's not perfect, actually. And I'm trying to see if they fit, and yeah, they fit. So I just need to poke some holes actually in the notebook in order to use pamphlet stitch to tie the whole thing together. And don't worry, I'm not poking myself. I'm very careful at this step, and I'm very mindful about what I do. And this is always the recommendation, especially when you are working with sharp things. Just don't think about other things you have to do during the day. It's your time for crafting, and you have to be there. You have to be in the moment. In order to make my life easier, I'm just using some clips, and you can use clothespins, anything you want, but it really helps that the things don't move and you can easily sew. One of my favorite moments when doing a notebook or a journal is choosing the right color for the page. And I think I can use so many colors because of the so many different shades on the design paper, but I think I will just go for classic and leave the cover speak. And just using a normal needle, maybe a little bit thicker to make things easier. I'm starting from the middle, going on the outside of the paper, and then going at the bottom from the outside in the bottom hole. And then directly in the top hole and back again through the middle. There are very good tutorials on this topic if you need help. I would suggest just watching one of those, and once you do this once, you will never forget it. So for me, it was enough, and I can always go back to the method and check if I'm not sure, but I felt that I did not need to. It's very important to have the threads on each side, so not only on one side or the other, just have the threads coming back on different sides of the middle thread, and don't go directly through this middle thread. That helps to hold better. And at this moment I'm not sure what to do with this. If I want to tie a bow, I'm not sure. I will just leave it like that for the moment. And yeah, the paper is tied, the notebook is pretty much ready to be decorated. And I'm trying to think about the colors, and I'm having two brown shades. I've decided to also try to stamp with my distress ink. I'm using the Vintage Photo for just inking the paper, but why not? Let's try this. And for cleaning the stamps, I just made myself a cleaning tool. It's a simple wiping cloth from the store. It's the one that when dries becomes stiff. I just cut it to size and put it into a narrow box, plastic box, and it holds, it remains damp for at least a week, and it's the perfect way to just stamp and then clean the stamp immediately afterwards. And it cost me a few cents. So it's a great way of having beautiful clean stamps and not use any kind of chemicals for cleaning. I think this full floral stamp will look very nice. I'm just trying to see how it stamps with distressed ink, and it looks okay. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's just even better if there are imperfections in this type of notebook. So that's why I have no stress about how it stamps. But it's better than expected. Stamping is one of my other favorite steps. Just randomly choosing papers and stamping, taking time, thinking about what I do, and enjoying. That's the whole purpose. That's why we do this. Enjoying the process of creating beautiful things. And for the rest, I will just choose smaller stamps. You can use anything. You can use even little animals if you want to, or I don't know, marking stamps, vintage stamps, anything you want. I would recommend for a smaller notebook, just smaller sized stamps, because then you have a lot more place for writing. And yeah, being precise really helps. And surprisingly, everything works very well. And if it doesn't, then there's always a solution for it. I'm adding now a butterfly. I think with all the florals, a butterfly would suit very well. And I love butterfly stamps. I think I have quite a big collection of different butterflies and in different sizes. I also love to color them in with alcohol markers afterwards. And what's important is just to not stress about perfection, but to be there, to be mindful of what you do, and don't let your thoughts just jump to all the other things you have to do. Just leave them. It's your time, it's your 10 minutes, it's your 20, 30 minutes, it's your creating time. It's a time where you are there in the moment and you just focus on that. That's how you get most benefits of the activity you do. And that's how you can recharge your batteries and then have the energy to solve all the other things that you have to do. In the end, I just want to add a longer stamp for the last page, and then I'm finished. I will use this one. I think it will look nice on the side. And making sure that every area is inked. I'm just stamping. Be careful not to wiggle, because then you can just ruin the stamp imprint. Yes, so we are finished. We are finally finished. All the pages are stamped, and now we just have to find a way to close it. And I just thought, let's use this thread on the inside, but of course we need to bring it on the outside in order to just use it as a closure. I'm using again my needle. It's very easy to thread through it, but if not, you can use a different tool. And just bring the two threads on the outside. So if you want to do this notebook, you can do the pamphlet stitch from the outside, and then you have all the threads at the end on the outside. But there's always a solution. And I'm choosing a closure for it. I will just use this rose gold one. I think it matches very well the thread and the design paper. And I just need to find two small circles. I have some punched ones left over from other projects, but I think the best one would be to use the design paper. It's the easiest way to make sure all the colors match. And I'm just using I've punched another circle that's a half inch, if you're curious. I've punched another one from cardstock so that I have a stronger circle to work with. And then I punched a hole in the middle. I did it off camera because I made some mistakes until getting to this result. Be careful not to punch too big of a hole in it, so that you can close it. And then measuring at the end for seeing where to punch the hole in the notebook, and then it's finished. Yeah, some of these small brads are a little bit fiddly. I think you know what I mean if you have some. But in the end, everything works out. And I'm thinking about using again a piece of design paper to cover the end of the bread, taking time seeing which area I would like to use from the paper. And yeah, that's good. So I will just use my glue again for the last time in the project. And I'm carefully sticking it to the notebook. Great. And the closure works well. It's one of these moments you can hardly wait for, and then it brings so much joy when it works well. And I just want to add a few beads to the thread. I think it's unfinished like that without any ending. And I'm trying to select a few colors that would match the color palette of the cover. And there are so many to choose from. In the end, I decided to go for the red. Yep, because I love red and it also matches very well. And it's not that easy to thread the beads, so I'm deciding to go for a trick. I will show you. I just have a simple thread. Here you can use anything. I just used leftover embroidery thread, but you can use sewing thread, anything you want. You just bring the two ends of the small piece of thread together and you thread both of the ends through the bead. And then I think one bead is not enough. I just want to add another one. And then I'm thinking about the olive green ones. And I think those are so nice to use. They match perfectly the leaves on the paper. So I will go for them. Just threading them. Again, be mindful, be in the moment, enjoy what you do. That's the whole purpose. And then I have the two ends of the thread and the loop. And through the loop, I'm bringing our notebook closure thread. And then I'm very carefully threading the beads through this new thread, and now everything is where it has to be. I'm just tying a knot, and it's not that easy with that small of a thread piece, I think. But I think I can do it. And it's just the whole purpose of it is that the beads don't fall off. So I finally realize I can have a longer thread to work with if I just untie it. And making multiple knots helps secure the beads. I'm just doing 3 knots, I think. Yep. that's good. And in order to make sure the beads remain at the end of the thread, I'm just tying a knot after the beads. So we have one set of knots at the end, then come the beads, and then one or two knots on the other side of the beads. It doesn't have to be perfect. The beads can have a little bit of a wiggle room. It's perfectly fine. And then I think the end is too long, so it's always a possibility to cut it, align it, fluff the ends, and yeah, then we are finished. It's ready for you to enjoy and write everything you want in it. Thank you so much for your time and for crafting with me, and I will see you next time.